All right,
Hello.
we are live. Hello, Sid Garza Hillman. Hello, everyone who's
Hi, Matt
attending
Frazier.
this Wednesday afternoon session, which
Morning,
Monday.
morning for those of us. Morning for those of us on the correct coast.
That's right, on the left coast. So the correct coast, but not the right coast.
Right. I have to do a qualifier, which is I will be shifting around a lot because I really did I did my first Spartan race last week.
Oh yeah, and it got
And
some jacked up. Not too good.
Well, it was the tire pickup, which I hadn't done any, and I hadn't done any research on how heavy that actually is.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that now after, but it's anywhere from a 200 to a 240 pound deadlift that I tried to do. So I got it up on my knees, and then my back popped.
Huh.
And then it tightened up, and I finished the race. But I've been recovering. I mean, I'm a lot better today, but a week ago, man, woo. So anyway, FYI.
That's surprising, given that you do regular deadlifts, that would cause you any trouble.
Yeah, when I deadlift, I actually use dead bodies, and they're not that heavy usually. So I just wasn't ready. Oh,
yeah.
okay.
I mean, I'm sure if you had eaten a paleo diet, you also would have been much better.
If I had more protein, literally
right.
one-handed, like that.
Well, that's cool. I actually have heard quite good things about those. Did you enjoy the race itself? Was it fun?
I did. I not only did I enjoy it, but I did better than I thought I would. I've been doing a lot of training. I'm doing mindful warrior training. Timothy Sheaf, the vegan parkour.
How about that guy? Drinks his own pee, right?
Huh?
Drinks his own pee, right? That guy?
That guy. I don't do that part of his training. Maybe it would have helped. But he has a whole physical thing that I've been doing, and then TRX, and I scaled 8-foot walls. I did bars. It was good. I felt really good. That tire, if had I known it was 240, I would have done the burpees that you have to do if you miss an obstacle. I would have just blown it off. Well, I've never tried this, and there it goes.
How do you spell Timothy Sheaf's name? Mindful Warrior sounds kind of interesting. I imagine somebody would want to.
I can send you a link because it's not. Anyway, it's SCHIEFF, I think. And let me I'll just put the link up in the chat room for anybody else who's interested. I really like it because it's under his ethics. It's not, if you do a search on Mindful Warrior, it doesn't come up here. And I really like it. It's all very slow movement, which is weird. And he is one of the strongest guys I've ever seen in my life. So I just figured what he's doing, I'll sign on that because that guy is unbelievable. So anyway,
cool. Stephen is there. Stephen
I must have spelled it wrong. I guess it's SHIEFF, no C. Thanks, Stephen.
Okay.
Yeah.
Stephen is a friend who I met in when I was speaking in Belgium. Sid.
Oh, really?
He came over from the Netherlands, which is not maybe all that far, but
no.
On the bus. Anyway, good guy. Give me some chocolate and beer.
That's what they do over there. I mean, that's literally
way to my heart, right? Yeah, and that's what they do. Okay, good. Well, it's been a while, Sid, since you're hard to track down. I believe you missed 1 month from something. Oh, we just miscommunicated at the time. That's what it was.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we've got a backlog of questions that I've sort of tried to answer when they've come up in the sessions with me and Doug, or the one that I did without you. But I have always said, like, we'll get a real answer from Sid when he's here about this one.
Cool. And I will say as an aside that the creative person that was here who do our cooking classes left. Sadhna, remember her, Matt?
Yeah.
She left. And so I've been doing 100% of the cooking classes. And the good news about that is that it's really been helping me, and I think it'll really help inform Health Made Simple if we go forward with other recipes. I've been kind of experimenting with stuff and doing new recipes that I've never done before. So kind of cool stuff. So that's kind of an interesting turn of event. It's also made me extremely busy because I've been doing the classes on the weekend. So I basically don't have a day off, but that's how that goes.
Sounds like fun. That's cool though, Sid. Cooking, I go through spurts where I get heavily into cooking. And
yeah, I know you do.
It's always fun.
Yeah, I'm going to Nashville this weekend, and then I'm going to Wilmington the following weekend. Matt, how far is Wilmington from you guys?
About as far as you could possibly be while being in the same.
Okay, so I'll see you there.
Okay. Yeah, I'll get you talk or whatever you do. Okay, so anyway, we've got a bunch of questions, but if you're here live, of course, then feel free to submit them. These yeah, Steven says good evening from us Europeans, and that is good. You were the target market, Steven.
For anybody who's just joining and never been, you type your questions in that little chat box, and then we can broadcast them for everybody to see which ones we're doing, and we'll answer. So feel free to. We'll do some pre-subs, but if you got questions, just nail them in there, and we'll get to them.
The thing is, if we're competing with Europe, we're also competing with Champions League soccer right now, and that's tough because that's a better draw than we are, I think.
And also, we're always up against them for some reason. We have the same demographic.
Right. Anyway, okay, so let's answer some of these. But of course, if you've got them live, then jump in with them whenever you want, and we'll run through them. So first one, this is one from Won't Apply Now. It was someone in Nancy who was starting a weight loss plan on February 1st. I gave her an answer, but just for everybody, because this is a common question. As far as serving sizes, my husband thinks he should have more food as me since he is bigger than me. And if there is some truth to that, a serving size on the plan would be for what size person? So the answer that I gave is that there are no serving sizes with Health Made Simple. It's just not about that. It's about eating till you're full. And I think, it's being mindful and actually noticing when you're full, not watching TV or, making sure your plate is clean, right? Like I actually read in one of, I think it was Michael Pollan's books, that while in some of these other cultures, particularly Japan, where they have this hara hachibu thing, which might even be specifically from that Okinawa blue zone, but
compartmentalized.
Yes. So they pay attention to feedback, right? That tells them when they're full. And the hara hachibu means eat till you're 80% full. But in this culture, we tend to take some sort of visual cue, like is the TV show over or is my plate empty? And that's kind of our cue for being done, rather than listening to how we feel. So of course you want to pay attention to your body. But the reason I wanted you to weigh in, Sid, is because I know I do hear people still talking who say, yes, you can eat a whole food plant-based diet, but some of us still need to control our portion sizes. We need to still control our calories. I don't know. What do you think about that? If someone says, yeah, whole food plant-based is good, but not everyone's going to reach their target weight unless they actually do restrict calories on it.
I'll first comment on the Japanese thing. I mean, there's two ways to go about that. And I'll first, as an aside, say this is why Matt and I are so adamant about saying that this is a bigger picture than food, eating healthy, and why we do these live Q&As, because we want you to be set up for success. So it is a bigger thing than just saying portion. The reason why we specifically didn't put portion control or portion sizes is specifically because it's not really a natural way to eat. And I think there's a balance to be had between eating more naturally and still living in the modern world. I don't think it helps people when you start doing calorie counting and portion control on top of all the other stress that we have. I just think that's a very difficult mix for people, and they usually burn out as a result. So that might work for some cultures in Japan, like the Okinawans, given whatever their context is. I think it's important to say, what is our context here? So to answer that woman's question, it's not about how big a person is. It's about the activity level. Remember that when we're eating, healthy or not, we are getting energy. We don't have to talk about calories. Energy. We are converting what we eat to energy. So if you're a 6'5" person who sits on a couch and doesn't do anything, you're not going to need as many calories as a 5'4" person who's an ultra runner. It's about activity level, not size. So that's the first thing I would say. It's ideally to match that sort of a level. If you're not matching it, it means that you're lethargic or that you're putting on weight. I mean, to me, that's so much more important than saying count this many calories and this many portion. It's like, are you feeling good? Do you have a lot of energy? Is your stomach flat? And your skin's good and you're kind of moving around a lot. Then you have energy. Then you're kind of in a good place and you can make little adjustments. When it comes to eating full, I really have a problem with this whole 80% thing. I think that's the stuff that I call into question because I think it drives people nuts. How do you know 80%? How do you know 80%? It's a ridiculous thing to talk about becoming 80% full. Should you get over full where you're like, oh my God? No, we agree. There's a point at which you're like, I'm good. Do many of us eat past that? Of course. But when it comes to the meals that we the meals that we put forth here, I can simply say, if you are eating till you're full and putting on weight, you can move to less calorically concentrated foods. Matt would agree with this. That's why we don't have oil in most of our recipes. We're not militant about it, but if you're having stuff with oil and you're eating till you're full, you're going to get way more calories than somebody who's eating this is an extreme. I'm not saying somebody would do this, but let's say somebody's eating 4 pounds of lettuce. They're going to eat till they're like full, sick full, and never gain weight and be totally healthy. So what I do in my work and here with the plan is to say, move your caloric concentration spectrum while eating till you're full. I have a shake here. This is one of 2 jars that has 8 bananas in it today. That's a lot. And I'm going to be totally full. I'm not putting on weight because this is amazing. There's nothing else concentrated in here. I didn't put any oil in here. I didn't put any protein powders, no junk food in here. It's bananas and water. So there's ways to eat till you're full and not put on weight and hit the balance. That's what we're trying to get people to.
Good. All right. So that handles that one. Yeah. Next one is from Brian, who wants to know about pans. He says, nonstick versus stainless steel versus ceramic. Okay. So long as we're trying to be healthy, do we need to worry about the toxins on nonstick pans? So that's one that like I've thought about before. I was into the whole Salad Master craze for a bit. I never got it, but I saw it pitched on the cruise that I go on, and it cost $5,000 for a whole set of it. And they tell you it's the only healthy choice you could make would be to use whatever mixture of stuff they have in it. Yeah. So I don't know, Sid, what do you think about this? I bought a nice set of pans because I did used to have all nonstick, and they got destroyed over the 10 years of abusing them. And I imagine they weren't very healthy to be cooking with because, I've heard nonstick actually may not be as bad as you think. But once it's torn apart and ripped up, I kind of don't like the idea of whatever's not supposed to be exposed is now. So got some new ones from Amazon. They were I believe they're Cuisinart brand, and they're quite nice for $200 for a great set, and they clean up nice, and they're good. But stainless steel, nothing special. Right.
So I would second that motion, and I would say that it's supremely important if you're using, and this isn't brain surgery, but if you're using nonstick, to use wood or rubber or plastic. Don't use metal. It is the scraping of that stuff that, when it breaks up, is bad news. I'll also say what you just said, which is that there's quality levels in terms of nonstick pans. There's nonstick pans you can get at Kmart that are a piece of junk. And then there's really nice ones. Like we have a decent one. I will say, and Matt's going to make fun of me about this, but I have Le Creuset pots and pans from another time when I had a bigger balance on my credit card. And they're like ceramic. There's one that's sort of an iron surface, but the other ones are ceramic, and I freaking love those things. And they, again, we don't use metal on them still, but I would say invest in as high quality a cookware as you can. All clad, they're amazing. Some of that stuff just has to do with how effectively it cooks. Like it really spreads the heat out evenly. But in terms of pure health, Matt, I don't know what you've read, but it seems like there's a bouncing back of iron. Gets iron in your diet? No, it doesn't. It's not, and it's like back and forth. And so I'm not in the camp of like cook with iron pots because you'll get more iron in your diet. When you're on a whole plant-based diet, you're getting all the iron you need. And so to me, it's like, don't sweat that stuff, but decent cookware is I think important.
Yeah, that's how I feel. We have a cast iron skillet that we use now and then, and I like it, but I've actually heard people warn against using it too often. They say because iron's something that your body doesn't get rid of it very easily.
That's the thing. So that's why I kind of, I go back and forth on it, and it's just like, forget, I just don't want people. I'd rather I get my iron from food, and then you don't have to worry about that stuff, and I think that's a better way to go.
So anyway, yeah, I think pots and pans, don't overthink it. You got to get some good ones. Don't scratch them all up, especially if they're nonstick. But you probably don't need to spend $5,000 on your cookware, unless you're Sid.
No, I didn't spend $5,000. I spent $7,000. No, I'm just kidding. I spent $1,000. It was $1,000. That was 12 years ago. These things are not anywhere close to being. They'll last 50 years. I mean, I'm going to hand these to my kids. I'm not even kidding. So to me, it's like an investment, like a Vitamix.
Mm-hmm. There you go.
You have a Vitamix now?
Do I have a Vitamix?
Yeah.
I have a Blendtec.
Okay, well, you probably spent a few $100 on it, but it's something that'll last for a really long time.
They actually sent me it to a review.
You know what? Yeah, and I remember that really kick-ass Vitamix we used for the Health Made Simple videos.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Remember that thing?
Brand's Blender. I forget if that was it. It was not a Vitamix.
It was a mini one. It was like they were testing.
Oh, I gave her that one because they sent me that to review. Vitamix sent me that, and I didn't like it, so I gave it to her.
It was bad, I know, and it was not impressive. Like we were making stuff for the videos, and we were like, "This blender sucks." Remember?
That's right. Yeah, it was just too small.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway, But yeah, that's a good example of a food.
We have a live question that I am happy to answer because I'm doing it, but it's up to you.
Go for it. We can go for it. Let's highlight it. Here, I can do that now.
How do you do it? Oh,
press that little megaphone thing.
Yeah. Okay, I'll read it. I have a question about intermittent fasting. I would like to get into it, but I have a hard time to finish early, especially on days when going to the climbing gym. Usually I show up there around 6 to 7-ish and stay to 10 p.m. Then, of course, I'm hungry and will eat afterwards. Any ideas? Yeah, and this won't be hopefully a big surprise, but transition slowly. I've been doing intermittent fasting for over a year now. You will adjust. You absolutely will adjust. I just did the Spartan race that I was talking about. It was an 8.5 mile, 2,500 they said, but it was more anyway. Elevation, a ton, 28 obstacles on almost no food at all. I think I did two single gels the entire time. And had a tangerine before I started. Your body will adjust, and your hunger will adjust. As Matt knows, oftentimes if we feel hungry, it can be thirst. It can be you're a little dehydrated. Drink some water. So I will tell you that just try to up it as much as you possibly can. It is simply the research on intermittent fasting is pretty incredible, even to do with the bacterial strains that flourish during the day when you're supposed to be sort of eating, and then at night different strains. It's the real deal. I used to be a 9:30. We'd feed the kids, and then Lisa and I would eat afterwards. And then I now finish by 5:36, and I'm still active till 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 sometimes, and I don't feel hungry. So it is just a transitional thing that is going to pay off in a big way. I really am. I'm a total convert on this thing. Most days. I'm within a 7 to 9 hour eating period during the day, but it took me a while to get there. So
cool, good. Yeah, I like it. I wouldn't have had that tip because I haven't done it like you have. But that does seem like quite a predicament. So you're just saying that she just should, by easing into it slowly, she will eventually not be so hungry after.
Yeah, and drink some water and go to bed. You'll be fine. Your energy will be fine at the workout. You're going to be okay at the workout. And then the other thing,
follow up there. You see her follow up. She just wrote. Kristen said, but then I still have to make sure I get my calorie before 5-ish. No.
Yeah, or earlier. I mean, if you want to preload the calories, like if you're eating from, let's say you show up at the gym at 6. So let's say you eat from 9 to 5. That's an 8 hour, or even 8 to 5. You can get a ton of calories in between 8 and 5. All that you need beyond, because I've been training and still doing intermittent fasting. So yeah, get your calories done. And your sleep you're just done digesting, and by the time you go to bed, you're like it's clear. If you eat at 10 o'clock, that food is just sitting undigested in a not efficient manner. When you go to bed, it's just not it's not going to benefit your workouts, first of all, because you're not going to utilize that energy. I've been actually able to have the same amount of energy and strength when I was doing strength training on way less calories. And I attribute that to just the efficiency of eating during the day and not bogging my body down with a whole bunch of digestive energy when I need it otherwise. And it's been a pretty cool transition that way.
Good. All right. Yeah. Intermittent fasting is one that I really do think is interesting. And I don't know, for some reason it strikes me as not just a faddish sort of thing that, everyone's doing now and we'll all get over. It seems to me like a very, I don't know, seems to have a lot of good evolutionary sort of natural.
It could be a fad in terms of how we treat it, but I think it is definitely speaking to us as animals and doing better that way. That I do believe.
Good. All right. Next one. I just realized I'm wearing a shirt that has a fish carcass on it. See that skeleton there?
Oh, that's good eating.
Not appropriate for a vegan podcast. My mom is involved in this. Well, her husband is involved in this this bar, and I got a free shirt. But they do serve meat, and they have a dead fish as their logo. So should have thought of that before we got on here. All right, next question is from Lisa, who's not Sid's Lisa, different Lisa. Is there a range in micronutrient ratios you would recommend? I'm looking to lose weight and I'm moderately active, run 3 miles 2 to 3 days a week, plus 1 longer run a week, working up to a half marathon, and do a weight circuit twice a week. All right. So I actually answered this one before. I said, I really don't think you need to pay attention to macronutrient ratios at all. I have seen no evidence. I've heard Gregor talk about there being no evidence that one macronutrient ratio is better than another. I don't think you'd want to eat processed food and get 100% fat or 100% protein or 100%, right? We need all the stuff that is in normal food. But I mean, unless you try, I don't know. I just don't think it's that easy to eat extreme nutrient ratios unless you're trying to go eat extreme nutrient ratios. So I don't worry about it. Typical endurance athlete, in my experience, or just from reading sports nutrition books, typical endurance athlete is going to be in 65 to 70% of their calories from carbohydrate, and then varying amounts of protein and fat to make up the rest. 70, 15, 15 is, I guess, kind of a nice number that I feel like a lot of people are at and are successful with. But I don't think it matters that much. I certainly don't think you should be counting it.
No, and think about this, like I said, with the 80% full thing, how are you going to measure that? The time and energy you're going to, and that is a very imprecise thing to sit down with a salad and go 15%. You're going to drive yourself nuts. Eat like a gorilla does. Eat whole plants, and you'll get all the muscles because your body knows how to process. It's not going to get bogged down because you don't have 40, 30, 30 or whatever. The whole idea of a balanced meal is antiquated. It doesn't even, it's antiquated. There's no, like Gregor says, it doesn't make any difference. Eat plants. So here's the weird thing, not weird, but it's kind of cool. What Matt was saying, like 100% fat, that's oil, that's processed. That's something humans invented. Added sugar, 100% carbohydrate, human invented. Soy protein isolate, almost 100% protein, that powder, it's like 85%. Human invented. When you move into whole plants, every whole plant has a combination of all three macronutrients. Meat doesn't even have that. Meat is fat, mostly fat and some protein. But whole plants have carbohydrate, fat, and protein, which means if you mix a good variety of those, you're getting, if you have enough calories overall to match your energy, your expenditure, you're getting fat, protein, and carbohydrate, and you let your body do what it needs to do with it. Don't micromanage your body. It actually can do quite well without your help, as long as you're just giving it the tools. It'll go, thanks, I got it from here. So yeah, just free yourself up more time to have fun and not worry about balancing or percentage of macronutrients.
Good, agreed. All right, next one from Steven, who's about to run off and watch Liverpool. See, I told you, we lose the Europeans to the Champions League. Yeah. What are you going to do?
Football.
So his question is about coffee with food. I've heard caffeine can block nutrient absorption. Any truth that I do enjoy a pot of coffee with breakfast in the morning? I didn't know Europeans drank pots of coffee. I thought they just drank espresso.
They go. That was my European invitation.
Okay.
The blockage. Yeah, I think I've read some things about like my thing about coffee and eating is that it speeds up the digestion. It like moves things through too fast. Number one. Number two, it can dilute the natural hydrochloric acid intrinsic factor thing that's going on in your stomach. To me, I don't want people to overthink it, but I like to hydrate not when I'm eating. So I get up, I have a coffee, like I've had an espresso and before I eat anything, and sort of get that done. So that's what I would recommend in terms of that kind of pot of coffees. That seems like a lot to me, but whatever. Yeah, I would try to not do that. If you can transition away from that to drinking a lot of coffee while you're eating, it's going to speed the whole shebang up. That's my 2 cents on that.
Yeah, so I just Googled this when we were talking to because I had heard it about creatine before specifically, which most people aren't taking. But I remember from my weightlifting days, people always said if you are taking a serving of creatine, which is about 5 grams a day, 1 cup of coffee will effectively negate that amount of creatine. So you would need to take even more if you wanted to get it. So I'm guessing if it's true for one nutrient, there's not necessarily, but I'm guessing that the same thing might be true for others. As you said, it sort of moves things through your system faster. And it does seem that there's people writing about the coffee being something that blocks nutrient absorption of specific, 4 or 5 nutrients that it actually does. So anyway, yeah, who knows whether that's really true or valid or actually happens.
Did you read the article recently? I think it was in New York Times that talked about the correlation between coffee and cancer.
No, but I'm interested to hear.
Yeah, so there's toxins, and I swear I've been joking about this for like 10 years. That like every year there's an article that says coffee's good for you, then the following year it says it's bad for you, and it just waffles. I have a theory that it just waffles every year. I swear, because recently we were, the new thing is like 5 to 6 cups of coffee a day, and then all of a sudden now it's coffee and cancer. It's like it literally waffles. Like it's the funniest thing.
It is very weird. Gregor's actually right now is doing a big series about alcohol, and you get the same thing with alcohol. It's just this thing that the industry steps in and does something that makes it seem like it's good, and then you get actually bad at it. It's bad. So anyway, I don't know. Yeah. So the thing that jumped out at me as well, Stephen, was a pot of coffee with breakfast. Seems like quite a lot, and you can imagine that will move quickly through your system and maybe get some things out of there before they've had time to really digest. So, I don't know. That's a lot. And not, Sid, I think you were speaking generally about, you said not hydrating while eating, right? Is that what you said? Not drinking water while you're eating? Yeah, and I've heard that. You'll just even water would dilute the kind of activity in the stomach, the acids and things like that. So that makes sense. And I think it is good to sort of just try to not chug liquids with food, which is what I used to do kind of naturally. And I've realized like it's just, I don't know, I'm just sort of mindful of it. And I don't say no water during dinner, but just be mindful. Yeah. Anyway, so Steven says 1 to 2 cups. Yeah, I don't think that's really a big thing. I mean, if you were doing that all day long with all of your food and you were potentially blocking 20% of your nutrient absorption across the board, it might be a problem. But I don't think a cup or two with your food is that big of a deal.
Yeah. He says it's in a pot. So that's how he got around that technicality. But, he's from Belgium, so it's probably with pot.
He's from Netherlands. Sid, you're just killing Europeans here. This is unlike you.
I'm still mad about World War II. No, I don't know. There's really nothing there. I'm I'm not harboring any resentment to Europeans, I promise.
Or a mocha pot, right? A mocha pot is in the kitchen of every Italian, and that is a pot, and it is small and makes little espresso servings.
Right.
Great. Steven's not Italian, though. But anyway, moving on. This one from about seaweed, Sid, for you. One of your favorite topics. Just wondering, this is from Mary. She's wondering if you could talk a little about seaweed. I know from one of your videos that Sid mentioned it had a lot of nutrients. Is there a certain kind that's better than others? Raw or roasted, nori, etc.? Thanks.
Yeah, so I'm a huge fan of seaweed, and it's on it in terms of the micronutrient to macronutrient proportion. It's up there in a huge way. So in other words, the calories you're getting seaweed are jam packed with a ton of minerals and vitamins. So I'm a huge fan. As far as the best, no, and like anything else, we're about variety. Things have Matt and I try not to get into this is the very best thing. A variety is good. And so hijiki, arame, wakame. I like sea palm. If you can find that, it's very easy to deal with. Some of them like you soak and then you got to take the stem and sort of peel the that's a hassle for me. Sea palm right out of the bag, actually, but then you can soak it. Dulse is another one you can eat right out of the bag. And also remember, kelp powder is really, as long as get an organic, a clean version of it anyway. But yeah, kelp powder, even like a 1/4 teaspoon or 1/2 teaspoon thrown into one of your smoothies, phenomenal. Naturally occurring iodine, but instead of it being supplemental and added into salt, let's say, it's part of the food. Dulse is a great source of iron. There's stuff called alginic acid in seaweeds that helps the body rid of toxic, like heavy metals. I mean, it's an incredibly powerhouse. So I'm a total fan of getting people on board with including seaweed in their diets, at least on occasion, if not semi-regularly.
Yes. Much as I do not like the taste of it at all, the fact that it provides you with what you just said, iodine, some of it, and DHA, those are things that a lot of people say vegan should supplement with. So, that you've obviously got to get the right amount and may not be able to eat the amount of seaweed you need to get the amounts of those things without overdosing on other things. Right. But still, they're providing two of the things that aren't that easily found in plant-based diet. So, seems like a good thing. And in general, that was actually my answer as well when I answered this one before.
And remember the nori wraps that we did in the videos, because those are really easy to put together and super good. Matt doesn't like the nori sheets, but I love them. I love the taste. So do my kids. And just throwing some little cashew ranch or tahini dressing and some veggies and wrapping that up is like fast and easy and great.
Mm-hmm. Good. All right. So Joanna's got one prompted by this week's Pulse newsletter. I've gotten back into looking into getting an Instant Pot. Seems a good way to simplify life. Do either of you have and use one? If so, what size should I look into for a family of 4?
I have a pressure cooker, but I have not gotten on the Instapot bandwagon.
I have one. We got on it maybe 3 years ago, and I probably used it 20 times since then. I cook beans in it, and we do some things. I haven't found it that great. I don't know. I have really tough time getting consistent. I mean, it's a black box, right? You close it up, and then you can't check your beans to see how done they are or to stir them without depressurizing it. And then you got to wait 15 minutes for it to get back up to pressure. So for some of that stuff, it doesn't work so well. For soups and things like that, like any pressure cooker, it's great because it can speed up the cooking time. And I've actually wondered this, Sid. You know how it's the way a pressure cooker works is when you raise the pressure, you raise the boiling point of water.
That's right.
So no, I'm sorry.
Well, it's you actually lower. I think you lower the boiling point of water.
So suddenly we seem like we don't know what we're talking about at all.
I will say it. I think no, it raises it. It raises the temperature. It's a hotter cook.
Yes, and that's why it cooks faster. And so, makes sense. My question was then, are we actually unnaturally cooking our food then and removing even more of the nutrition by raising the temperature?
Yeah, I've read some on stuff on that, and then other people say because it's self-contained, like it's keeping more stuff in, that it's not
right. Nothing's evaporating.
I don't know.
Right.
I like my pressure cooker. We do quinoa in there. We use it, like we do a meal we didn't do last night, the night before, which is like quinoa, pinto beans, steamed veggies, some seaweed, some sauerkraut, and like a tahini sauce over it with a salad. And my kids go nuts on it. And we use the pressure cooker to do the quinoa in that. And it's pretty fast and pretty great.
Yeah. So pressure cookers are good. The Instant Pot can also be a slow cooker, and that's what's kind of cool about it. Is you can saute in it, and then so you could saute the soup ingredients in it, the onions and mushrooms, whatever, and then add the broth, and then pressure cook it like a soup.
That's what we do.
One pot. That's nice. It can do the slow cooking thing too. So I mean, it does all that stuff. To me, it hasn't been a life changer by any means. I mean, some people like Chef AJ travels with hers, or a little mini one, and for someone like that who follows a very, very strict diet and just knows they need to. It might make a lot of sense because then you can bring your show on the road and do whatever you want from a hotel.
Right.
But anyway, it hasn't been life-changing for us, but it sure has been for a lot of people. So I wouldn't take that as a reason not to get it. I'm trying to figure out the size that we have for a family of 4.
Well, I'll send you a link to the exact one we have. So, this is a pressure cooker, not an Instant Pot. So I don't have an Instant Pot, but I'll give you 6 quart is the one I have.
That's what I was about to say. The 6 quart looks like the one that we have as well.
Yeah, here's
and for us that is fine for family of 4. But my kids are smaller, so they don't need a ton like grown kids would.
But I'm 5 kid. We're 5 people with 9-year-old twins and a 14-year-old, and we're still fine on that. You can do enough quinoa for us, and then another night of food.
Good. I know AJ is very small, which she travels with. She has intentionally the smallest one. She probably has another one too, but she travels with a really small one for that.
I don't roll that way.
Good for you, Sid. All right. Good question.
Unless Taco Bell uses pressure cookers, because.
All right, this one. That's it. Actually, this next one is from Steven, and we answered this one. It was about marathon training last week. So that is all of our pre-submitted nutrition questions. And as I said, those are older ones. We didn't have any new ones this time. But Sid has not been on a couple of calls where they've come in. So anyway, what else do we have, Sid? What else? Or anyone live here, if you have any questions, then now would be a great time to get them in before we close up shop for the day.
Yep.
Yeah, what's new, Sid? How's your race going?
The race is good. Oversold by 20 plus another 30 on the waiting list, so it's crazy. And so I got a lot less cancellations this year. So I think everybody realizes it's an impacted race, so they are holding on to their thing. But it's in 2 weeks. It's in 2 weeks. So smartly, I'm speaking in Nashville this weekend, Wilmington the following weekend, and then I get back from Wilmington, and 5 days later is my race. So I'm getting a little stressed right now because there's last minute stuff to. I'm running the course in reverse this year, so that'll be interesting. And missing
just
Doug.
Everyone else is doing it normally, and just you're running it in reverse.
Just me. I'm running it. I'll say, hey guys, no, we're done. We're doing the whole thing. There's a rope climb, and the first couple of years, it was within the first 5 miles was the rope climb, and it would get a little bottlenecked. So we decided to run the course in reverse so that the rope climb is at the end and you go down. And so we'll see how that goes. Oh, here, we got a question from Pam.
Good. Want to read it, Sid?
Sure. Your thoughts on what to eat after a run? Obviously not the oft-touted chocolate milk. Oh, I love the chocolate milk. I love that. I just that kind of stuff I think is so hilarious. Anyway, yeah, okay. So Matt has very specific things that are all good and valid. And so I'll put my quick 2 cents and then Matt can talk more on it. These days, because I'm intermittent fasting, if I run in the morning, I don't eat usually for another hour or two after I run. And again, feeling totally fine, no crash, no nothing, fine. When I eat, I start with fruit. And I would actually advise for a lot of people, depending on their stress levels and how hard the workout was, eating fruit after a run is very easy to digest. It doesn't cause a lot of strain on there. Again, I know the lore, and Matt will talk about it. It's not lore. I mean, it's been studied of, 25% protein and that kind of thing for recovery's sake. I think the body is better at it'll sort of utilize what it needs if you give it what it needs overall. At least that's been my experience. But yeah, if you're training hard, so then I'm going to pass it to Matt, because if you're really like training for stuff, Matt, what would you advise?
Yeah, so even my advice is not for like super serious athletes anymore. I mean, I think if you pay attention, then it's the 5-to-1, I believe, like carbohydrate to protein ratio that they say to get right after the workout. But like since I have had kids and just been less caring that much about sports performance and more about like practicality and also long-term health, I've kind of just eased that up a little bit. So what I do is after a hard workout or a long workout, get some quick carbohydrates fairly soon, like within the first 20, 30 minutes, ideally around 20 or even sooner. And that could be fruit. It could be fruit juice. It could be sports drink. It could be white rice, white bread. Those things, I tend to be craving those things. And a lot of people do. Runners talk about like earning your carbs, and there's something to that, right? They are really helpful for recovery at that point. At least the old wisdom was. I've seen some papers kind of questioning this and some others sort of reaffirming it about this post-workout recovery window that you've got to get your food in at that point to start replenishing glycogen and jumpstart recovery. So like during that short window afterwards, that's when you want to eat the high carb stuff. And if you want to mix in a little bit of protein in there, good, fine. You can get towards that 5-to-1 or 4-to-1 ratio. And then like an hour or two later, just eat your more normal hearty meal that has higher protein usually in it, like a beans and rice type thing, big veggie bowl, just a normal vegan meal, honestly, that maybe has more protein in it. But I just don't think that much about that kind of stuff anymore. For me, it's like I think about fruit and fruit juice and sugars and starches, I guess, right after workout. And later in the day, a couple of hours later, I'm thinking more about normal food. And that's kind of how I typically do it. You mentioned chocolate milk, though, Pam. It's funny. My son is super into soccer these days, like really, really into it. And he's remarkably good at it, which has been tremendous fun for me as a parent to kind of be involved in that. And I've been trying to make sure he gets enough food because he's a skinny guy and he eats plant-based, of course. We don't even have much oil around. So, I'm always trying to get him to eat the food and eat a lot of it. So I made this chocolate shake thing for him. My wife helped actually develop it. And it's just like a vegan shake. It's almond milk, and you can use soy milk if you want more calories. Has some cocoa in there, cocoa powder, a little bit of cacao, raw cacao, bananas, a couple dates. And this is all the same stuff that I was just recommending, right? Mostly high carbohydrate, awesome. Quick digesting sugars, and has a little bit of protein from the soy milk. So like that's what we do for him. I also slip in some flax seeds and a Brazil nut in there, so I want him to get those things every day, and he's not otherwise eating those things. So that's one that I kind of like, and you can experiment and just come up with a chocolate shake with those ingredients in it. It's not hard. But so that's kind of like a chocolate milk, and he likes it after workouts. It works really well.
That's awesome.
So, yes. So, but no, I don't think chocolate milk is any sort of miracle food. I mean, I think it happened to have the right ratio that people were always talking about, and then the milk industry just loved that. So
I make a shake like Matt's, but then I also put chocolate milk in it.
Good. You got all that work to make that, and then
I got to get protein somehow.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You got to get protein somehow. Complete protein too.
Complete all the 9 essential amino acids. Yes, every time you eat. If you don't get that, you're going to die.
Mm-hmm. True. All right. So Any other questions here live before we jump off? Say what you talk about your race. That's cool. I think that's awesome, right? A lot of races probably struggle to get anybody to sign up, and here you are.
I'm turning people away. Yeah. And I have a new beer sponsor. This is not to. I'm not trying to whatever, but it'd be fun for you if you've heard of them. Sufferfest. You heard of this beer?
That's a beer.
Yeah, and it was started by all women. I think they have a couple of guys on staff now, but ultra runners started their own company called Sufferfest.
That's cool.
Where know.
Located? Located near you?
They're San Francisco. They're Bay Area, and they're new. Like they don't even have distributors. Like they're just like they go to places and like and anyway. Because so I met them yesterday and got picked up all the beer.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Very cool. Good. You should turn that race into like a series. Sid. Become like a race tycoon.
Oh God, it's so much work. Like I'd have to like quit my job and then roll the dice on that whole thing, you know?
Yeah, but we need a vegan race series.
We do.
People would be into that.
I know.
Could sweep the nation.
You want to help me?
I'll help you promote it.
No meat athlete ultramarathon series. Whoa, holy crap!
You never know.
I'll do the directing. So you got the moniker. Done. You guys heard it here first.
Okay, good. Done.
Sweep of the nation.
I like that idea, actually.
It's actually not the worst idea, I swear. Anyway.
That's what you tell the investors. It's not the worst idea, we swear.
That's my tagline. Sid Garza-Hillman, well, not the worst idea. Anyway. All right, guys. Thank you.
I guess that's it. Thanks for showing up, everyone. I'll see you next month. And thanks for coming. Thanks for the questions. And keep doing what you're doing.
Eat well.
See you guys. All right. Bye.